Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Problem Solver Politics live stream this luscious Monday morning. Luscious, that's not a good word to use. This magnificent, and it's not Monday morning. I already botched this. We always just destroy these intros, Cody. Anyway, yeah, we got all kinds of stuff to talk about. It is almost over. It's a feeling of nervousness and anxiousness while simultaneous premonitions of ecstasy for the relief that is about to come. So I am your host, Cardinal Ellis, with Cody the Oracle.
Hey, everybody.
But yeah. So Cody, tell us what's going on, man.
Well, okay, I guess the big thing going on is tomorrow night we are going to have the runoffs for the special elections in Georgia for the, I believe, final 2 Senate seats to be decided.
Well, just the future of our country to see whether I want me to live under freedom anymore. Or
that's such a joke.
Lobbyists.
That's such a joke. We'll talk about that a little bit today too. Such a joke, by the way. A lot of people. I love this, dude. You know what I'm gonna do too? I'll show you what. I'll pull up some of the ads I get from the Ossoff team to vote to donate money and just do the things people are saying about these Senate races. It's crazy. Apparently, I didn't know this, guys. Apparently, the Senate, depending on who wins, we either destroy the entire planet or everything's amazing based on just these 2 Senate races in Georgia. What a coincidence. Anyway, let's look at the polls because tomorrow night is the actual election, and there's 2 races going on, right? You have Ossoff versus Perdue, which I will say this, of the 4, Ossoff, Warnock, the 2 Democrats, Reverend Warnock and John Ossoff, I believe, they've done a good job branding together as like a team. But then I feel like from the Republican side, like, it's Kelly Loeffler, because Kelly Loeffler, I believe, is
nobody knows who Perdue is. He's like a guy that doesn't even show up to freaking.
But beyond that, I believe Loeffler is the sitting senator because who was it? God, I don't know, you guys can flame me for this if you want, but Trump appointed someone. Someone got promoted or like died or something. I think someone died. Yeah, someone died, unfortunately. So a Senate seat opened up, and she was appointed to that spot, and then she's running. So she's kind of the bigger star of the 2. Either way, this Perdue guy is like, who cares about him? That being said, he's neck and neck with Ossoff. Here's the weird thing, too. So the way that they do this is because there wasn't a large enough margin of victory, they had to go to these runoffs. What I don't understand is if they were dead
it wasn't a large enough margin of victory. It's nobody got a plurality of votes over 51%.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, like, because they're all bunched together, right?
Yeah.
And you look at the polls today, and what do you know? Not a whole lot's changed, and they're both neck and neck. Now, according to the polls, both Warnock and Ossoff are leading in the polls, but I would say 1.5 points is like margin of error. I mean, that's just kind of like what do you know? They're basically dead even leading into this, and now they're basically dead even again. I just think it's really funny and this is the reason why I bring it up, because we can go into all the craziness, all the mudslinging, all the other nonsense that's going on with this stuff. Yeah, someone brought up the Loeffler insider trading stuff. Dude, Kelly Loeffler, it's like, oh, who is she? I bet she worked really hard. It's like, oh, she married, like, what is he, like the CEO of Wall Street or something?
Yeah, he's the director of the New York Stock Exchange.
I was being facetious, CEO of Wall Street. But yeah, basically is what he is. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, I thought she got where she is, right? Like, she's
that, and she's hot. I mean,
you say that
she's totally hot.
Tell you what, we could table that discussion and come back to it later.
Like, for a 50-year-old, she's smoking hot.
Like I said, come back to this later. And then you have this Perdue fella who apparently exists. The election, I would say I would characterize it, and we'll look into it more. Mostly the interesting stuff has been Warnock and Loeffler going back and forth. Loeffler digging up Warnock's past and Warnock digging up Loeffler's past. That's been kind of interesting. Here's the thing that worries me, though. What have we been hearing about nonstop to this day? You know what, Cardin? Just let me finish a couple things.
Okay, I was about to say, what have you been hearing nonstop to this day? I was about to say, that's kind of like a long list, dude.
For years.
Okay.
BS shenanigans about how so-and-so actually won elections in Georgia. From Stacey Abrams to Trump, and now, do you really think if these are like, people win by half a point in one of these races, everyone's going to be like, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. I guess we'll just move on with our life. Dude, I have a feeling that it isn't actually almost over. And this is it's just going to drag on forever. Unless we were talking before, I think there's a way things could change, but this is how close it is. And we can bring up some of the fun mudslinging stuff they go back and forth saying about each other. It's kind of interesting. It's like People magazine gossipy stuff more than anything than like serious policy stuff, right?
Okay.
And we, again, if you want to touch on it really quickly, the reason why these races are so important is if the Democrats were to win both, there'd be a 50-50 tie in the Senate, and that would technically mean because Democrats would have the White House, they'd have the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Which would still mean, though, every single Democrat would have to vote yes on something, and it doesn't always work that way.
Well, they vote a lot more cohesively than Republicans do.
One guy just being like, no. Here's the thing, right?
No, you're right. That could be one guy, but I'm just saying,
Here's the thing.
Over the past 20 years, Democrats have been much more cohesive a block than Republicans have.
I
They don't
understand
have
that.
a crazy
Okay,
Mitt Romney.
But like, dude, there's some people. Also, keep this in mind, right? Well, if the Democrats want to do something that's a little bit of a big change, every single person, if they know they need all 50 votes, right? Every person's like, do I want to be like the person who's like that 50th vote when I could just hold this up and still be in Congress or in the Senate for the next 4 years, 3 years, whatever? I don't know.
Okay.
I just think it's harder to get all 50 senators on board with big changes because it's just like that's all of like you don't get to throw one of them like, hey, you can.
Well, but that's
vote.
the way the Senate was designed. I mean, it used to be before Dirty Harry destroyed the 2/3 majority rule. You couldn't do some of these very significant changes. You couldn't do like rule changes. You couldn't do like really deep infrastructural changes unless you had a 2/3 majority of the Senate. And the Senate was designed to be the cool cream that, calmed down the hot coffee of the House of Representatives. So the Senate are supposed to be the wise elders, shall we say, of the House of Representatives, who are supposed to be the wise representatives and Republicans in the sense of this is a republic.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying? It's designed to be the slowest body of government known to man to keep us from driving ourselves off the cliff just because we felt like we had to in that moment. And then now it's just turning into another House of Representatives because we've diluted all the rules so badly. There's direct elections of senators now instead of being elected from the House of Representatives like it was originally. And then, is
that like objectively worse?
No, they're almost as bad as House of Representatives now.
I'm saying
the only thing they have going for them is the 6-year
worse,
term. What do you mean? Is it objectively worse? Is what objectively worse?
Like, is this new way of doing things worse than the old way?
Yes, I think it is.
Okay.
Because back when there's a strong argument, I read this really interesting book where the guy said, I believe that the fall of the republic began when we had direct election of senators. Now, I don't remember the exact case, but sure, there was a scandal about the senator, and at the time, people thought it might be a good idea. Just like right now, we think at the time it's a good idea to create another state out of Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico because we might be able to get, 4 more Senate seats, and, that temporary gain might be worth destroying faith, the public's faith in an entire system because it's short-sightedness at its best, at its worst, just sheer power hunger. But yeah, anyway, this is really interesting. Adam Duffy, thank you for a super chat. He says YT. I don't know if he means YouTube or the Young Turks.
YouTube.
I assume he means the Young Turks.
I'm assuming he means YouTube.
Oh, you mean YouTube. Okay, he says YouTube has been so unwatchable here in Georgia for weeks. Why is that, Adam? Is it because of crazy B-roll ads and like political ads on YouTube? Is it just absolutely unbearable?
Endless Senate ads, I would imagine. Just endless Senate ads. And then also I want to look at something and see if we have him here.
I don't see how people can vote for Raphael Warnock. I can't see that, dude.
Okay, well you also have a very particular.
I could see voting against Purdue.
You have a very particular view of politics as well, though.
Yeah, the right view.
There we go. The fact that I literally can't imagine why someone would vote for something. It's like, well, you know what, man? Maybe you're gonna have to accept the fact that some things you literally just can't imagine. Because I don't know. I can imagine why people would vote for both, personally.
Warnock? Yeah, that's like saying I can imagine why somebody would vote for Cenk Uygur.
Wow, look at this, dude. Look at this.
What am I looking at?
This is the predicted betting odds. Which party wins the regularly scheduled 2020 U.S. Senate election in Georgia? It's currently 52 cents for Republican, 53 for Democrat. I mean, it's close. And this is
wow.
the
So
thing.
I'm curious. I wonder what the reasoning is behind that. What do you think the reasoning is, Cody?
Dude, because it was like 50-50 the first time. Things have gotten crazier. Also, honestly,
no, but what's made him go that huge downward trend from being up 14 points to being down by 2.5, 3 points?
One, there's probably a couple days there, just maybe some gambling odd stuff. A couple days there, people are like, hey, I mean, odds are so good, might as well bet in the Democrats. It's like not that, it's 50-50, right? And then also, I think there is, like, there's a lot of confusion or lack of clarity, I guess you could say, within the right now of what's going to happen. Dude, a lot of people that's kind of going to go to this point, so you kind of brought it up in a great way. What's going on in D.C., I guess with the rhetoric around, I can see why. It's kind of upstaging these elections tomorrow. I mean, look, elections are a big deal. Like you said, you on your diatribe about the Dems and Mad Harry or whatever. But seriously, like, it's important. It's important, right? It's definitely important who wins these elections. I mean, Mitch.
Yeah, we preserve our republic.
Also, quickly, okay,
they win the Senate. They create two new states.
Let's move past this.
They stack the court, create two new states.
And you know what? And if Mitch keeps the Senate, we all die in poverty. So I mean, like, you could tell me what reality you want to live in.
You have a fighting chance against the overlord corporatists.
No, because evil, crazy Mitch.
A fighting chance. You're at least in the Hunger Games instead of murdered before you had a chance to enter the arena.
Let's just move past that. Okay. What I mean is, there definitely seems to be this big lack of, like, do Republicans really even care about the Senate anymore? Is my point.
Of course they care.
You had a great thing you pointed to me right there, though. If they care, if they really care, some of people, from a certain perspective, I've seen from people on the right, it's like, if you really care, you'll be in D.C. You know, dude, tell you what.
Well, I would say there's an argument that Trump supporters care about the Senate more.
No, that's the inverse I was about to say. Dude, every Trump supporter I've talked to has talked about a million things to me, and not one of them is that it's important that people vote for.
No, I think
the
establishment GOP are the stupidest Republicans in the room. The establishment GOP are the stupidest Republicans in the room. Even Trump supporters I know are like, dude, Georgia, like, why?
Cardin, when I talk to, and just let me know, you really, when you think of Trump supporters in the MAGA crowd, they're not talking to you about Stop the Steal and the election and Georgia.
Of course they're talking about Stop the Steal, and that takes up a lot of oxygen in the room.
After all that, then at the very, like I said, dude, Warnock and Perdue is like a Warnock and, can't get the names right. Warnock and Ossoff's like a brand. They've been branded together. They've been doing stuff together. They take pictures together.
Yeah, because Democrats are better marketers and they run the media.
Well, yeah, because there's interest behind it. Dude, Trump supporters aren't talking about Loeffler and Perdue. They don't care about them.
Look, here I am,
they
being
talk
my
about
bipartisan, awesome self,
and then after 50
giving them credit where credit is due. They're better marketers.
But beyond that, it's interesting, man. But here's the other thing, right? What Trump supporters elsewhere think kind of doesn't matter because it's a Georgia election. I think that's the other thing that's kind of weird. I think there's a lot of people imposing nationally what they think nationally was going on. I don't live in Georgia, dude. I don't know. I do believe if when they had elections a couple months ago, it was like 50-50, and it was. I mean, they were, I think, within a point or two each, right? I would imagine, I guess, let me get quicker. I'll get to the point, and I'll pose it as a question. Carter.
Yeah.
Do you think enough has happened since early November to move voters one way or the other a great deal on who they want to vote for Senate?
That's a good question. I got to be honest with you. I think for the past year, very little has been done because very little has been changed. And the only thing I think that really has changed is Donald Trump broke the media, exposed it as what it was. I think a small sliver of people shifted right there, and there's data that suggests that. I think his personality was off-putting to a lot of independents, especially like self-aggrandizing college-educated people and stuff like that. So I think there was a slight shift there. But I will tell you, this has been, in my adult lifetime, these past 4 years have been the least persuasive in terms of people being, actually I shouldn't say the last 4 years, the last 2 years have been the least of persuasive years. You know what I'm saying? Where people just hunker down, they think what they think, and it's a function of getting out your base. So we got a super chat here from My Melanated Scope. He says, Feliz Año Nuevo, amigos, which means Happy New Year, friends. Did you all catch the Yang Gang documentary? If you mean the Calvary, yes. By the way, I'm actually going to make one of our cool little pieces of urban art, Cody, like that I spray on one of my things. I really like that quote from Andrew Yang where he said, and they included it in this little mini documentary. I believe they titled it The Calvary. Oh, one of my friends from prison is calling me. It's a 1-800 number. You know it. Anyway, so I actually really liked the name of the documentary, The Calvary, and the quote that he had on the end where he said, like, when you're young, you always think that the Calvary is coming, but when you're older, you realize that you are the Calvary. So I super like that. So, yeah, I did watch it. It was good. A little bit long, in my opinion, but very good. And, yeah, he continues to say, My Melanated Scope says, it was wild rewatching the old setup and how much has changed in the PSP lab. Oh, that is true, Cody. Did you notice that?
Yes, I did. I haven't had time to watch the whole
thing. By the way,
thing,
you were the star of that show, bro.
Really?
Oh, man. Yeah, you had so many quotes in there, dude.
No way. I have to go back and spend more time watching.
I mean, I accept that the PSP audience likes you more than me. Like, I just plain old accept that.
Dude, you know what's funny, though? I just skimmed through it. I was going to watch it later, right? And I was doing some other stuff. And every time I paused on us, it was you talking. I'm like, okay, cool. There's a Cardin in there a bunch. I didn't watch the thing yet, so that's funny. I just skimmed through and just like, that's us. Oh, cool, it's Cardin.
Yeah, no, and there was a lot of scenes where you were in the bottom little box, and then
hey, very cool.
Of all of our quotes, I think yours was the longest.
I think, wow, you keep track of stuff like that.
I watched the whole thing.
I was just like, hey, happy to see Cardin got some.
So like when
time.
the New York Times makes the graph of who got the talk time on the Calvary mini documentary or whatever it's called, you know what I'm saying? There's gonna be Cody Como, you and Nerds for Humanity, and Paget. You know, but yeah, it actually one thing that was very interesting in it was whoever did this.
We got to promote the hell out of this documentary then.
We
got to make this huge.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Hey, did somebody have a link for it?
I have it.
You have a link? Okay, we'll throw a link up in the chat. But you know what it reminded me of, Cody? There was a really interesting 30 for 30 done, right? You like the 30 for 30 series, right?
Some of them hit and miss, but some are really good.
Yeah, some of them are very good. Well, one of them that was really interesting was the guy that did the 30 for 30 on the O.J. Simpson pursuit. Unlike all the other 30 for 30s, he basically just did a recutting of all the news clips that he could get at the point. And it was a very artistic, very solid 30 for 30 that didn't have the standard narrator that usually documentaries do, right? And that's kind of like what they did on this. At least the one that I saw. It was just a rehash of all the media.
Yeah. And
I thought that was really interesting how they did it and it came out really well.
Kind of like reliving the whole thing again. That's very cool.
Uh-huh.
That's what I mean. We'll have to promote the hell out of it. We'll have to find a way to force it on people.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, you should check this documentary out. Don't worry about it. Just watch it. Make it really big.
So
I'm not in it or anything.
We got a couple of hashtag Team Cardins here and some hashtag Cody is swaggy, which means swag. But some people say they agree with me more. Well, welcome. We need to. if this was Twitch, I'd give them a little banner sticker. You know what I would say. But anyway, another person said, interestingly enough, that after watching the Calvary, they said they had become Yang Gang, which is really interesting. And I'm curious to see what happens to the Yang Gang with the New York City mayoral race of Andrew Yang.
It'll be interesting because, like, it's not a national thing. It's very much a local thing.
Yeah, it's like, but, you know, I believe that all politics are national now, though. I mean, there's...
You literally can't vote.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. We met so many members of the Yang Gang. I swear 40% of the Yang Gang would sell their van by the river right now and go... okay, you're right. That's actually a bad analogy. But would move to New York City just to help that guy campaign. You know what I'm saying? Or would re-register.
Well, also because of New York City, right? Like, because of how that part of the country works, and like the tri-state area, yeah, people can drive a couple hours to volunteer and help. I understand that. You can donate. You can raise money nationally. I understand that. But you have to get votes in New York City. Like, you only can get New York City votes. So I'm a little bit interested in that. Well, you tell you what, we'll find out a lot more in a couple days because he kind of has to like wait until the Georgia Senate thing ends before he can really fully go full bore on his announcement because it looks bad if he doesn't. Which like.
So I
still maintain that as soon as Andrew Yang found a way out of campaigning in Georgia, he was like, hell yeah, dude, I cannot wait to get in New York City and campaign for Andrew Yang instead of people that aren't named Andrew Yang. Think about it. Andrew has not campaigned for somebody who wasn't, Joe Biden or Warnock and Ossoff in like a year now.
Yeah.
I honestly think he's going to really enjoy getting back into the groove of campaigning for himself again, being the rock star.
He felt natural
again.
There, yeah.
Dude, I honestly, and I know a lot of people are going to, but I don't know. I think Andrew's a big boy, and I think like all people out there, he has, some humanness to him. I wonder if he really does kind of like enjoy, like, dude, if the polls and everything hold as it looks, he's going to be like a rock star candidate in New York City for mayor the whole time.
Yeah.
And
by the way, have you noticed that he's tweeting all these pictures reminding people that he's not just an upstater, that, I got married. I got married in City Hall.
Oh, let's pull that up. Let's pull that up. Let's look at this. I mean, I think it was like,
it's really funny.
It was
it's
actually
like,
his anniversary though, right? But yeah, I mean,
he's trying to do all these reminders of like, don't forget guys, I mean, I am a New York cityer, not just a New Yorker in the sense of the state.
You know what?
See, here's a picture of me in 1985 in Times Square.
Which one of our New York City followers wants to be an angry, mad New Yorker about the fact, hey, you know where his banner photo was taken for Andrew Yang, candidate for mayor of New York City?
Oh, we were there, dog.
We were there. Were we there because it took place
You can see us in that picture.
Were we there? I can see you. But were we there because this took place in New York City?
No,
we were there because it took place in Los Angeles. Again, doesn't matter to me. I actually appreciate that it's there because, that's the rally me and you went to.
That's where we got our first interview with Andrew Yang.
Yeah, first time really actually went up there and did something for him. Anyway, though, where's that picture? You brought it up. That was really funny.
Yeah, he's posting all this stuff. Like, remember?
He did have Warnock and Ossoff on his podcast this morning, but I mean, it's pretty easy to.
Ossoff is too good looking.
He reminds me of you know what he does. He reminds me of Beto, but like if you were to
By the way, does it bother you that
Here we
Andrew
go.
Yang and Ossoff had the exact same shirt on?
It was 10 years ago today. But yeah, exactly. Definitely leaning into the New York connection. Look at young Andrew. You know what's hilarious though? And I think it's because their age is like where they are. They really, Evelyn and Andrew really do look more or less the same. Yeah. Andrew's just a little bit heavier. I mean, that's really the only difference between the two.
Dude, dog, they're Asians. They're going to look that way until they're like 120, and we're all going to wonder why they're in such good shape and like why we're all dying at 50 and 60. And they'll make commercials about their diets.
People definitely look, even if they like don't age, like you can definitely tell they look a little bit different as like they get older, as things will change. I think it's funny. They
Actually, Andrew.
But again, it's their age. They're not like going from like 20 to 70. It's going from like 30s to 40s, and like you don't really reinvent the wheel at that point in your life,
Yeah, Andrew Yang is kind of funny. He's the one that has the most fluctuation. Like there's some pictures where like he must have been tired or something because he looks like presidential campaign aged him
for president. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but then there's other pictures like taken a week later where he looks like he's freaking 14 years old. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you got to figure out which angle is the best angle. You know what I'm saying? And just like go with that one. Same with Loeffler, however you're supposed to pronounce her name. There's some pictures where it's like, oh my gosh, she looks like an angry WNBA coach.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And other ones, it's like, whoa, supermodel.
I'll tell you what, Andrew Yang could tweet out the cavalry. We'll force him to recognize.
Yeah.
But I'm very glad to see that. It's very cool. That's very cool.
So, anyway, Sly Cactus has a super chat that I'm addressing right now. Says, this channel doesn't work without either of you balancing the other out. Don't sell yourself short, Cardin. Well, thank you, Sly Cactus. Team Cardi. Yeah. Rock on.
When have I ever said anything to the contrary?
And then there was an interesting question here by someone named Soma. Never seen this one before.
Oh, very cool. What's up?
But yeah, it says Yang is starting to scare me a bit. Seems like he's been swallowed up by the Dems and is falling into their ranks. I'm still Yang gang, barely though, waiting and watching at this point. I actually feel I feel that way a lot. Well, I feel that way a lot.
Can I use a wrestling analogy really quick though?
Yes.
Okay, he definitely. If you look at it from the perspective of the establishment Dems, right? Definitely so to speak, like had a big face turn. Like he went full on literal. Like I wish I could say figurative, but it's not literal cheerleading for Biden the last couple days of that election. There again, got kind of gross. I didn't love it. However,
what got kind of gross?
Just like the way he was acting. It's like
it was pathetic.
Yeah, it's like you have like a family and like a business. You can be like excited without like. Anyway.
Oh, and then I swear, minus 10 percentage points when he showed up with Katie Hill in that video.
See, dude, that's a person you have personal gripe with.
No, it's not a personal gripe. She's a bad person.
It's personal gripe.
She's a bad person who sexually abused staffers.
You know what? Can we move past this? Because it's personal gripe. Anyways, my point is this. I feel like running for mayor of New York City, I was trying to pull the tweet up here. He was calling out some Democrats in the Senate. I feel like there is a small chance, because honestly, when you're the mayor of New York City, you don't have to be Mr. Democrat anymore, because you're the mayor of New York City. You have a D or an R next to your name. So I hear like the idea of like, because he went super overboard. I mean, where's the video of him like actually dancing around, like jumping up and down? It's like, dude, it's okay. You didn't find the golden ticket. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like you could just be happy that Joe Biden won. But beyond that, there is a chance for him to, now that he's mayor of New York City, because remember, he donated money against some establishment candidates. He can kind of lean into that a little bit more. Do what and honestly, it takes a little, and I hope. And honestly, I think the scary thing is you have to have probably an ego for this, a big ego for this to happen. I don't know if he has one. I hope Andrew goes back to New York City, starts campaigning, loves the feeling of everyone being like, oh, Andrew, you're the best, treating him like a rock star again, and then really decides to lean into kind of create his own influence. Because let me tell you something, dude. Waving the pom-poms for Joe Biden doesn't create influence for you. It just doesn't. So, like, I agree. Like, if he goes to New York City and tries to just suck up the Democrats the whole time, it would be stupid. But if he goes to New York City to kind of, like, fall back into, like I said, campaign for Yang again, not campaign for, dude, I don't know. People can disagree with me. I never for a second believed Andrew Yang when he said it like, really was important that Warnock and Ossoff won. I'm like, dude, I could see as a Democrat how you'd like the Democrat to win. Like, don't get me wrong. But it never, like, struck me as, like, in his soul. Because seriously, like, the second it was like, you know what, this New York City mayor thing looks like a go, he was meeting with Al Sharpton in New York City. Dude, like 4 or 5 days before the election. Like a week before the election. I love that. He's standing in Coney Island saying, I'm Andrew Yang and I'm running for mayor of New York City. I mean, like, it's just, he wanted out, and good. Seriously, good. If you don't like and I don't love the shill for the Democrats, just vote for Democrats, blue no matter who, Yang, which I did not like, then yeah, I'm glad that he's getting out of Georgia and he's going to New York City and he's standing in Coney Island or whatever and saying, can you dig it? My name's Andrew Yang and I'm running for mayor of New York City. Good. That might be him actually getting back into the kind of candidate I think a lot of us were attracted to in the first place. Because, I mean, dude, I'm old enough to remember when Andrew Yang was running for president, and the primary reason people were attracted to him wasn't that he was a Democrat, that was a vote blue no matter who, diehard Democrat, right? Like, I don't think that attracted anyone to Andrew Yang before he dropped out and endorsed Biden and wanted to lean in hard for there. We'll do another stream, maybe Thursday, talking more about this, because Thursday I think Andrew Yang will be kind of campaigning a bit for himself as well for mayor. Andrew Yang allegedly, and this is like allegedly, in like 50 million quotation marks, but allegedly, or parentheses, whatever you want to say, turned down a cabinet role. I have to do a lot more digging into it before we could talk a whole lot more about it. But if that was true, I don't know if that's true. It doesn't sound true to me at all. If that was true, that'd be a good sign towards this, though. Towards Andrew saying, you know what, man? To hell with it. I'm going back to, me again, I wish I could play music again. I have a couple songs I'd play, but I just hope that happens. I hope that happens. A little bit of a. Sorry, I'm not gonna sit here and predict it will for sure. But I could definitely see it's one of the reasons why you go to be the mayor of New York City. Because there's another thing too. Once you're the mayor of New York City, and you're one of the most prominent Democrats or Republicans, right, in the country, because you're the mayor of one of the biggest cities. But you get to have a lot more autonomy and influence than a lot of other. Like a congressperson has to vote with Nancy Pelosi. The mayor of New York City, I mean, maybe like the governor, you can't piss them off too much.
Well, yeah, and you have to think about it.
Oh, no,
like how much better of shape would Los Angeles be with an Andrew Yang character? Maybe not the sellout that we've seen the past 6 months. Hopefully, the original Yang gangster that we
Mayor
all
Garcetti?
fell in love with
Isn't
in the
it funny
beginning.
that Garcetti is the mayor of Los Angeles?
You know, yeah, but it's pathetic.
But I have a
Garcetti
question.
is a sociopathic
No, but
lying sack of
one second.
dumpster fire garbage vomit.
So the mayor of Los Angeles and the governor of California.
Well, just think about it. How much better in shape would Los Angeles be if a guy like Andrew Yang ran it, especially during coronavirus? How much better a shape would New York City be in if a guy other than Bill de Blasio ran it? Like, I mean, really, Bill de Blasio, Andrew Yang. You know, it's
Remember,
crazy.
Bill de Blasio and Andrew Yang ran against each other for president. Andrew Yang actually beat Bill de Blasio running for president.
Yeah, that picture's
That's our mayor.
squished. Yeah, diminutive liar, the banality of evil.
Well, hold on. Did you know this guy? This guy was being floated. I mean, it was like weeks before the election. It was like, if Biden wins, he'll be the transportation secretary, right?
Ugh.
There was conflicting groups protesting him for different reasons every day for like a month straight. For him not to be named the end of this cabinet.
Yeah.
And eventually it paid off. He withdrew his name, which meant he wasn't going to get it.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. But you think of him and then Gavin Newsom. We're like, the recall effort. And again, like I've driven across Southern California, and there's people on Saturdays all across Southern California with recall Gavin Newsom tents getting signatures to recall Gavin Newsom. They're like a million away. But, you know, like when LA County alone has tens of millions of people, like that isn't that hard to get 1 million across the entire state. It just cracks me up, dude. These two obvious smooth talking shysters, or what do you know? Everyone hates them and wants them out. Like, how did no one see this coming? That we weren't gonna like Garcetti and Newsom. Total aside, but it's just funny.
Yeah.
You look at them for 1 second, and it's like, oh, these guys you can't trust these guys for an inch. They both look like just total con men, and I guess they fit right in.
Yeah, by the way, you know, we've been talking a lot about Kelly Loeffler here. Did you know she's the co-owner of the Atlanta Dream, the WNBA team?
I did. And did you know that when earlier this year, when there was still basketball going on, and it was before the November election, there's actually, I'll pull this up, the team she owned was actively campaigning against her.
Oh, that's too funny.
I believe they were campaigning for Warnock. I mean, that's who I imagine.
If I were freaking co-owner of my sports team and they campaigned for my opponent, I would like just fire whoever was part of that process.
I love this.
Like, seriously, grow a spine and fire them.
I think this is so funny.
At will employment.
Just the way, again, New York Times is the enemy of humans, dude. It's got nothing to do with politics.
Yeah.
Look how they describe this woman. She's a
WNBA.
She's a
players.
senator. She owns a WNBA team. No. None of that. She's only anti-BLM. Nothing else. It's just hilarious. But look at it. This is the team she owns. They hate her. They want. But yeah, it is funny. It's like, well, you take her cash or checks.
But this is how stupid professional athletes are.
They hate her, and they actually like actively campaign against her. There's another they're like actively trying to remove her as the owner of their team. It is funny though that
did you not see the ratings tank for the NBA?
Yeah,
and the WNBA, which was already practically unwatchable.
Okay, well, hold on. Before you just get into, I know a lot of people are jumping into knee-jerk political reactions because of a lot of things recently, but WNBA, and people might not like to hear this, but it's the truth, more or less exists out of the goodness of the NBA's wanting to be. Basically, it's a tax write-off for the NBA. Like, and I know it sounds like no, it's just like, but like honestly, like really, the NBA really subsidizes this, and yeah, they do it. Maybe not literally only for tax write-offs, goodwill. It benefits them to get more girls involved in the game, all those things. But yeah, it's a money loser really, as far as the league goes. And other parts of the world, like it's not like female basketball can't exist. Other parts of the world, it's more like you actually make female basketball players actually make more money playing in Russia and places like that, I believe, than they do in America. Just doesn't. Really? Americans aren't really that interested in it. But the NBA kind of helps fund and keep afloat the WNBA. But anyway, it's just funny that it's like, why don't they get Warnock? Because I do imagine that the idea that Warnock owns a WNBA team is pretty funny. I have to imagine the WNBA isn't like super down with. Again, they just look at her as being anti-BLM, not even like. Like that. Do they? I wonder.
By the way, it's hilarious to me.
But it's like I don't think they like her. They probably want her gone.
The Black Lives Matter movement now is like literally. I think you could get away saying more against the Virgin Mary in the 80s, or even in the 60s, than you can saying anything about BLM. You know, in the 2000s. I mean, that's the pretenses under which they just arrested what's his name, Torrio. The Latino dude that's supposedly the white supremacist in charge of the Proud Boys just got arrested today under suspicion of having been involved in the burning of a BLM flag, which you were pointing out earlier sounds a lot like property crime. And if we started arresting people for burning flags, half of Portland and Seattle would be behind bars right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what about BLM makes them the unimpeachable Christ figure of 2020 and 2021?
I think it just depends on who you ask, to be frank. Some people would say it's not true. And some people have different answers. I just wanted to bring this up. Loeffler's a 49% minority. Maybe, I don't know, technically, because she'd be the majority, the plurality owner. But anyway, she does not own a majority of the team.
49%'s the first loser.
Yeah.
I learned that.
unless no one else owns more than it is if it's 49-51, right? But if it's 49-20-21, then no, right?
Okay.
All right, my math right there.
I was going to say it depends on what I don't know enough about the rules. My point was
she's not the complete owner of the team. It just is funny. I can definitely see how Kelly Loeffler is not what's the word I'm looking for. Congruent, like it doesn't seem like she fits into the WNBA. It is funny. The total aside, we went on for that while, but just it is kind of interesting. Her own team protested against her. Like she owns the. It's just so weird. It's like, but you cash her checks. Like, why don't you just like try to run her out of the league? And I think they did, and they basically were like, no, we're not going to run her out of the league because they ran the owner of the Clippers out of the league. Now he was more of a bad guy, proven than it seems like, and they wanted to run him out of the league for years. But again, that's a totally.
But also, I mean, when the fans hated him. Like at the end of the day, Clippers fans didn't like the way that he ran it.
And no one liked
because he was taking it for whatever money he could make and not even helping, you know what I'm saying, try and expand the franchise. And so that really, I think, is what I think what led to his demise.
We talked about this for longer. We have to. I just thought it's just kind of like a funny story where it's like the players of the team you own protest against you. You know, I don't know. I just think that's kind of funny.
We forgot to mention one super chat where my melanated scope. Thank you for the super chat. Says I'm a Yang Democrat and a McCain Republican. Interesting.
It's a Yang Democrat.
That's one way of putting
it. Honestly, Yang Democrat, McCain Republican are kind of like two sides of the same coin.
You think so? Well, at least Andrew Yang had a website full of a bunch of good ideas.
Yeah. Well,
McCain was a sellout in many regards.
Well, that's what I mean. On one side,
of course, Andrew Yang's going that way.
You have the kind of sellout warmonger. And then on the other side, you have the kind of more independent, principled, free thinker guy. The kind of like two sides. Neither of them, actually, McCain fit right in with Republicans. Yang is funny. You could tell Yang had to kind of sacrifice a little bit of himself to try to fit in with Democrats because he just doesn't naturally. He's more maybe on the left of the modern political debate, but he's not like a Nancy Pelosi Democrat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, dude, did you see the video? The video clip? I love it, man.
Pull it up.
You want to see a kiss the ring moment right here?
Sure. What is it?
Sorry, just AOC can feel like just kind of totally been exposed over the past few weeks, months, as maybe exposed is the wrong word. I don't know, exposed is too rough. I take it back. But it's just kind of, it is what it is. Like she's fallen in line. Like Nancy Pelosi won. Like she's fallen in line now. It is what it is. She was always gonna fall in line until they kept her around and I think let her win.
Oh yeah, how Jimmy Dore's calling them the fraud squad now?
No, but the video,
because not a single progressive voted against Nancy Pelosi.
She railed about Nancy Pelosi. I'm trying to find the video. I can't pull it up, but there's the video clip right where they have the person with the gavel and they're like, "All right, we're voting on they're voting through it." And they go to like, "All right, Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez," and she's just like. You know, like, do you vote yes for Nancy Pelosi to be speaker? Yes. It's like, yep, there we go. That's how it goes. So make a big huff on Twitter, vote yes on the bill. Make a big huff on Twitter, vote yes to confirm Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House. It's almost like, dude, I've been saying this for a while. If you want to know what politicians do, read their Twitter account and just be comfortable knowing they're going to do the exact opposite of that. Always.
Well,
they're always going to do the
Kamala,
exact opposite of what they say on Twitter.
Not
Always.
Kamala. She's pure. She's pure like leftist right now, man.
Any let's just pick a person.
See, she's the reverse. She didn't do any of her Twitter, and the Twitter came later.
Your boy Ted Cruz, whatever he says he'll do on Twitter, he's going to do the opposite.
My boy Ted Cruz?
How about this? You know my favorite thing about...
If he shaved his head, he'd be my boy.
Okay, how about this? You want to crack
Then he'd look real tough with that goat.
I have a question for you, Card.
Yeah, what?
As a Republican, I have a question. Why don't any of these conservatives that are being like bullied and intimidated and silenced and oppressed by these big social media platforms, right?
You think it's because they're paying for their campaigns. They're bought off, like Jim Jordan.
I'm just saying this. Why doesn't Ted Cruz, if he's just going to kvetch and moan all the time about Twitter censorship and Facebook censorship, why doesn't he just make a big deal about going to Rumble or whatever the Parler, right?
Yeah.
Why don't these Republicans use their platform on Twitter and Facebook to just advocate for their followers to follow them off Twitter and Facebook to these alternate platforms where they aren't oppressed, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if I actually thought I was oppressed and silenced on Twitter, I'd be doing everything I could to build a following off of Twitter.
Okay, remember
Maybe
this.
maintain
Remember what I
your
said
official
earlier
government
where I
account.
said the GOP establishment are the
saying, why
biggest
don't any of them do
idiots
it?
in the room?
Hey, how about this? Donald Trump. Why does Donald Trump do that? Hey, if Donald Trump thinks Twitter's too powerful, why doesn't he take all of his Twitter followers to a different service?
He did. I mean, I would actually say he did with that video that he just released 6 days ago. What was it called? The Plot to Steal America.
Where did he release it?
There was like a whole 1 minute
Where did he
segment on
release
getting
it?
off of Twitter and go on his actual YouTube channel.
Exactly.
His actual Twitter profile.
Google, Twitter. They just use these mainstream things. I mean, I guess you're right, a little bit. You're right a little bit. But you see what I mean? Like, why didn't Trump get on Parler 4 months ago and say, hey, everyone
Trump's
come to Parler?
gone savage, man.
Parler. Why isn't he on Twitter every single day saying Twitter's awful, follow me in Parler? Twitter's the worst. There's no reason why. There's nothing to stop these Republicans from just going on Facebook, Twitter, and Google and YouTube and just spamming them with posts about how awful these platforms are and to follow them to these alternative platforms where you're not oppressed. But none of them do it. None of them. At all, ever. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Not really weird they don't do that? You would think if they actually felt oppressed and silenced, they'd be doing a lot. They'd be trying. But no, they're all comfortable just being oppressed and silenced on Twitter, I guess. Even though, for being oppressed and silenced, I definitely see things like Candace Owens and Steven Crowder and Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio. Those show up in the curated trending tabs on Twitter all the time. All the time.
Yeah, but you can't say it's not disproportionate, bro.
Sure it is, but I'm saying...
And by the way, you only need to reduce somebody's visibility and censor them 10% to sway an election.
People at the top, yeah, they don't care about the people beneath them being completely erased. Because they get enough. It's enough for them. It's enough for Ted Cruz, Candace Owens. They don't have to leave Twitter. Everyone else who supports them, that's forced off, chased off with the spear.
Yeah.
Well, you guys can all go quarantine yourselves on Parler. That's for the birds, man. I'm an important person. I get to stay on Twitter.
Well,
I mean, it's like ridiculous. Like, I don't believe any of these people actually believe this stuff anymore because they don't act like it.
Well, I definitely noticed that with the whole Parler argument. Part of that, I'm not half as cynical as you, because also taking a much more holistic bird's eye view of the situation, you have to think, okay, as much as I want to migrate onto Twitter because onto Parler because I'm supporting free speech, I'm supporting the idea of not being censored. Maybe I'm trying to consolidate a more conservative audience, so on and so forth. Get in on a social media platform when it's young, whatever that is. You're not going to burn to the ground your Twitter following that you already have that you've worked 10 years to cultivate.
You don't have to. You use Twitter to tell people to leave Twitter and follow you somewhere else.
Yeah, you don't think that would get censored by Twitter real fast?
How about, I don't know, because watch this. Let's go through. What's trending on Twitter?
Yeah. You post every day for 10 days straight.
No, but Kurt,
Twitter sucks. Let's leave to Parler and let's see if they don't find a way to censor your channel.
Well, on what grounds? Well, check this out. What's trending on Twitter? Bachelor. Okay. WWE Raw. Okay, which is good for WB trending.
Yeah.
Prop 22. Oh, okay. So this is the DoorDash thing. Okay. Trump rally. All right. Sports.
Wow.
TV, Meatloaf, Batman.
Hey, Batman's there.
Entertainment.
Emma
Entertainment. Enrique Tarrio. Oh, that's another right-wing personality.
No, but it's probably negative crap about it.
Doesn't matter. It's him being arrested. Doesn't matter, dude. They're allowed to trend on Twitter. They're allowed to be discussed. You can say you're allowed to say bad things about it, but you're also allowed to spread whatever you're allowed to spread their information, dude.
All right, what are you trying to convince me here, Cody? That censorship of conservatives isn't real? I mean, it's
what I'm trying to say is
there's measurable quantifiers that prove it.
I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying is this.
Okay.
It's not bad enough to drive these prominent Republicans off the platform because their names. Enrique Tarrio is a bad example because he's banned off Twitter. You know what I mean, but a lot of these like prominent Republicans, they show up in and Candace Owens was trending this morning on Twitter. They show up in the trending tabs. They get promoted. They're in the algorithms. Yeah, maybe they say some naughty things that get removed. Not saying that it's like the most, they're like nothing. Not saying that there is no bias perhaps against them, but I'm saying is this: it's obviously not so bad they feel like they have to leave because none of them are trying, none of them are in a hurry. And when other people get kicked off, they just go, "Well, it ain't me, man. I'm good here."
Okay.
I mean, like seriously, like Trump rally. It's the number 4 trending thing in all of Twitter right now. When I just go to the Twitter tab,
but there's
it's not super scientific what we're doing. But I mean, if you open up the Twitter tab and scroll through, you'll see a Republican name or hashtag. Like you'll see like pro-conservative, pro-Republican stuff every single day in that.
So
because it isn't actually 100% rigged, and maybe they do that to keep people complacent enough to not leave. But these people are complacent enough to not leave, and they don't leave.
Okay, yes. If you want to say they're complacent, fine, I agree with you. But while we're talking, for example, about this Enrique Tarrio guy that you say is trending on Twitter, I mean, this should horrify everybody that reads this Washington Post article. It says a leader of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio, was arrested by D.C. police Monday afternoon on a warrant. So somebody already went through all the legal loopholes. Wasn't some, probable cause in the moment by a cop mistake. But on a warrant charging him with burning a Black Lives Matter banner taken from a historic black church during a demonstration last month, officials said. I bet you they just added that taken from a historic black church to try and validate.
Dude, I remember this event.
But no, let me finish.
But this is the real thing it did.
Yeah, but let me finish. I'm making a point here. Police stopped a vehicle Tarrio had been in shortly after it entered the district, said Justin Sternbeck, a D.C. police spokesman. It is said that he believed Tarrio, who lives in Miami, or Tarrio, I should say, because it's got a double R, who lives in Miami, was coming in the district from the airport. Like, think about that. The D.C. police were motivated enough to go get a warrant for a guy that wasn't even in their town and sit around and wait for him to show up.
Hold on, a guy?
For a property crime.
A guy?
A guy?
Or is he a political enemy of the state? Because he's a political enemy.
Did you know at one time
politically
there were revolts and protests against Billy the Kid having been shot and hunted down by police?
If you want to make the point that he's a political prisoner, in a way, he pretty much is. But like, deal with it, I guess, is just the reality.
Yeah, he's a political prisoner. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, like, if Enrique Tarrio actually was just some guy and he wasn't the face of the Proud Boys, they probably wouldn't have arrested him. You're right. But he's not just some guy. I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's when famous people with baggage with their names do something, they get arrested. They make big deals out of it. When they have the wrong ideology and promote the wrong things, state just comes for them. I don't know. It is what it is, man. Like, are you surprised? Are you surprised that guy was arrested for something he did? Are you surprised that he's perhaps having perhaps the law he's making sure it's operating at its like full capacity with him more so than with other people? Does that really surprise you at all?
It should not happen in America. And it surprises me that people
Hey, you know what?
this.
Tell you what, dude. No one in America should go hungry, dude. Hey, Cardin. No one in America should have to worry about not being able to pay for their health care. No one. Not in America.
I understand your point, Cody. I understand your point.
No one in this country should have to do that.
I know we outlawed murder 250 years ago. Yeah, people still do it. I get it.
That's not
I get it, but I'm saying this is this kind of politics happens against conservatives, never happens against liberals.
That's crazy and not true.
No, name one liberal who's been laid in wait by the DC police to be arrested upon showing up in DC.
Card, I'll tell you
name one.
Card.
Name one.
I can't, but let me finish the point.
Okay, you can't, so my point is proven.
Your point's not proven. In the recent history, I agree. But again, dude, this thing's bigger than us. It's easy to just get obsessed with the last 7, 9, 10, 15 years or so. But, like, yeah, trust me, dude, there is a time when the government loved nothing more than to sniff out leftists and throw them in prison, okay? That was
was 1950s?
Like 60s, 70s, 80s.
No, please,
80s?
Please,
really, in the 80s they weren't.
Stop it.
Dude, it's just, it goes back and forth. It's always, and you know what, people...
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's right.
People can laugh at me and say, well, one thing that cracks me up the most, dude, people talking about voting for someone, about taxes, and, oh, you vote for someone, taxes go up. So it's like, dude, like... Literally, yes. Taxes can just go up and down. They can just decide. This admin will make them go up. This admin will make them go down. Like, it's there's so much stuff like that, dude. That's just like, it's not a game. It's real. I understand that. But it's just like, they look at it on a long scale, right? Like, Cardin, what happens if the government lowers your taxes by 4%?
Yeah.
And then it raises them by 3%? And then it raises them by 3%? And then it lowers them by 2%, and then it raises them by 4%.
Well, now you're up 4 points.
And then they lower it. But what I'm saying is, they can look at it on a 30-year window if they want.
Yeah, but what you forget... And
regular people can't.
Why your analogy is bad is they never lower them. See, that's the problem, Cody.
Yeah,
they never lower... When have they ever lowered taxes?
I thought Trump said tax cuts.
Oh, okay. No, federally, but you better believe in the state government we never have.
Hey, you can bitch and moan about the state you choose to live in all you want, dude. But, beyond that,
I don't know. If you're trapped here because of aspects of your employment, then you can't really say that you're...
In your situation, I would say you really are choosing to live here, but...
no, dude, I'd sell my company and move out of state in a heartbeat if I could.
Okay, so why can't... You know, that's a separate thing. Well, my only thing is this, dude. If you really, 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 really wanted to be elsewhere, you could. But you don't want to be elsewhere that bad.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, like, I could just... tank my credit, not pay any of my bills, and go live underneath a bridge in Texas.
You're being facetious.
You're right. I could.
You're being...
No, you can't. I'm not a majority owner of my company, brother.
Okay.
So I don't make decisions like that.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. When you signed yourself into slavery, whenever that was, you made the decision to stay in California. Either way, my point's being, like, Trump lower taxes federally, right? I thought you were happy about that.
In some regards, he did, but in those living in California and New York, it didn't, because he got rid of these, I think, the salt tax and the housing tax, where a certain aspect of your house, if it was over $500,000, that was considered a luxury. Whereas here, a $500,000 house, that's not even an entry-level apartment. You know what I'm saying? And so, having lost that deduction, in California, our taxes actually went up with the Trump tax cuts.
Hey, you know what?
In some regards.
Tell you what.
However, we got a bigger break for our children.
Tell you what. You know what? I can't wait.
So they might have actually gone down.
I can't wait till you move out of California, so you don't have to spend like 30% of your day just complaining about living in California.
I don't spend 30% of my day.
Okay.
I don't spend 30% of my day.
I'm just saying, you're right, dude. It's a great case right there to not live in California. But my only point was this: is that, you know, a lot of people, you live life one day at a time, right?
Yeah.
But the government plans maybe decades at a time. So it's sometimes...
No, they don't. If they did, they would have instituted UBI 50 years ago.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Yeah, why? Why would that benefit them to do that? Why would the government be better off?
For the same reason that JFK wanted to lower the taxes, because when the middle class has more money and their percentage they have to pay is slow, even if you're just a cynical politician that wants more cash for your buddies and lobbyists and corporations and donors, you would want a vibrant middle class that has more disposable income, so that that small percentage taken from a larger pie yields more for your donors.
Perhaps. What if you don't want that, though?
Well, then you're just a psychopath,
what
sociopath,
if what if
which
your donors,
is what we have.
What if your donors don't think a strong middle class helps them, and your donors actually think having a massive serf class that lives under them is the best thing for the donor class?
Okay, repeat that.
What if the donor class thinks it's better to have a bunch of serfs that live under them than it is to have a strong middle class?
Well, yeah, that's probably what most donors think. Donors like Amazon, huge, big BLM and Democrat fans, and
Dude,
that's probably what all of the.
So funny. Yeah, you're right. You tell you what, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
He's not motivated by power or influence or the billions of dollars he has. He's motivated by Black Lives Matter. As motivated as Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is like, I gotta go out there and make another billion.
Or maybe he just knows that in order to get power,
Matter.
he has to lie about crap like that.
Dude, Jeff Bezos is too busy.
Creep.
Jeff Bezos is too busy taking over the pharmacy industry, which, by the way, he basically did. He owns like pretty soon, Amazon is gonna be putting pharmacies out of business on every single street corner. I swear he is.
That's true. Yeah.
You're just going to have your prescriptions mailed to you cheaper than you could have. All those like delivery prescription services that were already doing well, just going to put them all out of business.
So we got an interesting question here. It says, curious, what exactly is Mitch's problem? Well, I don't see what's all
There's
the
some
anger
weird
about
stuff.
Mitch.
He basically...
Well,
he's the person holding up $2,000 checks right now. He's the one right now holding it up.
Okay, yeah, but hold on a second.
That's the anger at him.
But the $2,000 checks are it's because they want to throw in like getting rid of
standalone
signature.
I believe standalone even.
But the standalone bill wasn't even a standalone bill.
His objections are not because they're adding pork to it. His objections are he says it's socialism for rich people.
Oh, no. Okay, so here's the
objections are Mitch McConnell is literally the person, and he's not because he's the god of everything. He's just right now in the procedure, he's the one holding it up.
Yes, and I do agree. Okay, this erase what I said. If I were trying to put in a sentence to answer this question, curious, what exactly is Mitch's problem? I agree with Mitch McConnell on day like 1, 2, 3, skip day 4, and 5. On day 7, I agreed with him. But with the standalone bill, I have agreed with the frustration with Mitch McConnell. However, I agreed with Mitch McConnell on the big fat no to the pork barrel where they tried to give $40 million to Pakistan and
that's
all that other
dude.
crap.
That's
so
not,
it's like
that's not people are upset
when
about.
You say what exactly is Mitch's problem, I don't think he's got like a problem that's consistent, like there's some kind of issue. It just seems like that day he had beef.
I just want you to understand something. Being a partisan means you have to sit there and defend this Mitch McConnell stooge. He doesn't care about you at all.
No, I'm saying like I don't
cross
think
the street
thinks,
if you were on fire.
Yeah,
dude. He wants nothing to do with you. And like you're sitting here like, yeah, but like it isn't all the time he does stuff like this. Sometimes
I'm not doing some kind of partisan defense of Mitch McConnell. I'm saying that day by day I agree and or disagree with him. And right now, in regards to the standalone bill, I disagree with him. How is that some kind of? I'm not
that's
as intern defending
That's the leeway
him.
You give that you look at every politician all the time. It's day by day I kind of reassess how I feel about them.
I think if I were to answer the question,
because they don't always act that way, so sometimes they
if I were to answer,
you gotta keep in mind. Like, come on, what the hell is this, dude?
If I were to answer the question that Aurora Borealis posed, what exactly is Mitch's problem? I think his problem, in regards to the stimulus, is he doesn't think it'll work. And I think direct cash payment stimulus does work. There's this whole neo-lib class of people, from Nancy Pelosi to Mitch McConnell, that think that welfare must be means tested so they can control it. And then I think it's subconsciously so they can control it. And then so they can make sure that their buddies that are inside, the donor class that run all the companies that actually give out the food stamps and give out the actual food and give out this, so they can get rich, because then technically it's all funneled and controlled by us instead of directly given to them so that they control how it is spent. Well, so I think that whole old boomer neo-lib class doesn't think direct cash payments will help.
Why do neo-libs want to institute means testing to increase their control over their life? And, old Mitch over here just doesn't think it's going to work,
Well, because Nancy Pelosi didn't think it was going to work, and she was only using it as a Trojan horse to get all of her crap.
Dude, these people are all stupid liars who don't care about you and probably are playing games with us.
And so why I've said the exact same thing.
Why don't we phrase it as this? Why does Mitch McConnell think he can get away with it? Why does Mitch McConnell think just holding up checks with some dude, Mitch McConnell had no problem.
He thinks he can get away with it because he knows he will, because the American people don't do anything anymore. Okay. We've lived in a shutdown where hundreds of thousands of men have lost their jobs, lost everything they have. And Americans will commit suicide and get addicted to opiates before they rise up against their government now. We are little bitches.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's exactly what Mitch McConnell has realized is that the American public is no longer the American public that fought in the Revolutionary War. They're a bunch of little bitches that'll take it up the ass when you give it to them.
War. That's hilarious.
Okay? Yeah.
Dude,
so
300 years ago?
You asked this
we're
earlier.
We're out the country from 250 years ago, dude.
Yeah, you asked this earlier. When are we going to do climate change lockdowns?
Yeah. No, so
let me tell you, that's coming.
No, I said,
because the sociopath politicians that just love being able to flex whenever they want to flex, or if an election is coming up and they don't want people to come out, they'll just say, oh, there's too much carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide in the air. We need a climate lockdown.
You want to see a graph that'll make you mad?
Sure. But like, I look at this and the masks are pseudoscience.
This is
at best.
That's a graph of
Yeah, they're mandated, and like little biznatches, we all walk around and do it.
This is job growth or loss since each recession began, based on weekly earnings.
Job growth or loss since each recession began, based on weekly earnings.
Just take a look at that for a second.
Jeez, that is just brutal.
Just take a look at that.
Oh my gosh, my heart breaks.
Not crazy? Isn't that
those are graphs you get out of the Weimar Republic and the inflation of Germany in the 30s.
How about this? Dude, you used to read sci-fi, right? And in sci-fi, we're talking about Jeff Bezos taking over pharmacies, right? You know, like the sci-fi future is when it's like a few mega corporations control everything. I used to always wonder, like, yeah, but how? How could that ever happen? How could a few mega corporations ever take over everything? Like, there really wouldn't be like, you know, like I'm trying to think, you know, like small boutique-y type stuff. It's like not going to exist anymore. It's like, well, I guess if the government just mandates they all close, I mean, that would be one way to get the mega corporation futures. You just don't allow them to exist. You just make them illegal, basically. I mean, when you think about it, in a lot of ways, like in Southern California, they've kind of made certain types of business just illegal.
Yeah.
It just can't be ran.
Andrew Schultz made up, he joked about that exact same thing.
To stay open.
Yeah, he joked about that exact same thing, saying, you know, we shut down all of these businesses, but now marijuana dispensaries
I got it.
are declared essential.
Strip clubs are declared essential. Here's the thing with
strip
marijuana
clubs and marijuana.
I'll say one thing.
So literally, we have prisons full of essential workers.
Yeah.
Then. You know what I'm saying? He's like, I've never seen something go from absolutely criminally diabolical to 100% essential in less than 4 years in my life, faster than marijuana has.
Well, but here's the thing, though. It's just part of it, I think, it's a rhetorical game in a bit. If you're going to say it's legitimately an important medical service, you have to say it's essential. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to say medical marijuana is legitimately important, you can't say medical marijuana is legitimately important, and that's the basis of why we allow you to have the dispensaries open, and then be like, but you just can't go there, you know? Because, just saying, if they didn't have to sneak the legality in, making it legal medicinally first and then opening it up recreationally, they wouldn't have to do this. But it would look really illogical and stupid to be like insisting, no, it's a medicinal dispensary for medicine. It's like a prescription. And then be like, but they're closed and you can't go and get your You see what I mean? Like, if it exists as essentially a medical dispensary, it's kind of hard to deem it non-essential. Strip clubs, I understand less. I understand strip clubs a whole lot less. I just understand the rhetorical gaming behind why they have to keep dispensaries essential. Okay. And it's because they had to backdoor marijuana legalization.
Or maybe it's because the Democrat Party is rotten to the core, full of sociopath people.
That's it.
And they run our state into the ground.
Isn't it crazy?
And everything they touch, they ruin.
Isn't it crazy how easy it is? It's just the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, man.
Yeah, no, seriously. Every bad politician in our system right now,
also, why
from
aren't you
top to bottom, has a D behind their name.
Why aren't conservatives advocating for more strip clubs and medical marijuana dispensaries to be open?
Why aren't more conservatives?
Why aren't conservatives like honestly like? Why aren't conservatives hearing that medical marijuana and
because we don't have conservatives in Congress, we have GOP establishment. Mitt Romney bozos.
Commentators, why aren't they hearing that and going, hell yeah, more people at work?
I think strip clubs should be open because I'm an anti-vice politics guy.
But beyond that,
I'm like, give them all the weed they want, give them all the strip clubs they want.
If it is about business, why is it not
prostitution
a good
should be freaking legal.
But I'm not talking about that card. What I'm saying is you'll notice the big conservative commentators, they seem to be like, and I understand they bring up interesting points about why aren't churches open and stuff. But I don't
exactly.
see
Open the strip clubs.
Hey,
open the churches.
They go right to kvetching. I understand. But what I'm saying is, why are more of them being like, hey, like at least some businesses are allowed to be open. Good for them. Why is it always they should be closed too? Why is it always the crab pulling the other crabs back down? Right? Why is it always that? Instead of, hey, more power to them. Like the churches that just become strip clubs. Like, hey, fine, if we have to be a strip club to be open, so be it. We're strip
By the way,
clubs
was
now.
that not hilarious? Did you see those two pastors that refiled their paperwork as a strip club? And part of the definition of a strip club to be open as essential work and not a church was that they actually defined what is stripping. And there's two types of strip clubs in California that are legal. Those that are topless and you can serve alcohol, or those that are fully nude and you can't serve alcohol. So they decided to do, and topless isn't defined though. But the dictionary says by removing your top, you become topless. So the pastors have removed their suit coats and they removed like their whatever shirt, and they like swung it around, and they said it was right in freaking church. You got to pull that video. Did you see that video, Cody?
Yeah, I know you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, it was freaking hilarious. Anyway, Sly Cactus gave a super chat a while ago. And,
I got it.
You got it? Okay, hit it.
Yeah, so let's do some problem solving. How would you get a, quote, impactful for the people stimulus to pass? If you could write the bill, what would be in yours? Honestly, and this is my cynicism, you could say, I don't consider it cynicism. I consider it something else. People consider it cynicism. Doesn't matter what's in the bill. Seriously, you just got to find who are the people that say no and what is it they actually want. Donors, Mitch McConnell, whoever the hell it is. Why are they saying no? And address that. I mean, that's, if you don't want to talk about problem solving, that's what it is. What's the actual holdup here? Do I think Mitch McConnell truly, or if it's not Mitch McConnell, if it's his donors that are behind him, whoever it is, do I think these people truly believe it's impossible to send these checks out, or do they just not want to? And then what do you have to address? Well, what do they want to get them on board with, again, even just bribing us with money, if they want to frame it that way? For actual, if you want to look at it from a legitimate problem-solving perspective, that's how I look at it. We can word it later based around what we have to do to get it done, which is, what do you know? How, unfortunately, politics work in America. Until you get the Nancy Pelosi, we have to pass the bill to read it nonsense.
So what
because
I would
the bill
do,
itself doesn't matter. There's so many roadblocks that aren't the language of the bill you have to get through first. And I'd say just get through those roadblocks, whatever it takes.
what I would do is I would make it so simple that the entire public could read it in less than 2 sentences. And I would immediately publish it and release it to every news outlet, every radio station, every major blogger, every major YouTube channel, every TikToker. And it would say, Cardinellis proposes a bill. And I would load it to the absolute hilt, as high as I could, with as much direct stimulus to each taxpayer that I could. Not 2,000, not 600. We're talking like 4,700, 5,000, or whatever the most I could squeeze out of slashing that 10 or 40 million to Pakistan, out of slashing all the pork barrel crap. And I would literally make it such a high number that the public, like when I'm doing a podcast with You Ain't Black Guys, they joke about all of these, like black Twitter people that are saying like, oh, so-and-so says 600. Now Trump says 2,000. Yeah, go Trump, go Trump, go Trump. And they joke about how it's almost like, like you're on the New York Stock Exchange and you're offering up stock value for who these people are going to vote for. But like, I actually think there's a little bit of truth to that. I would make it an offer that the American public could not nor would want to refuse, and they would go ape shiz if they were denied it. I think actually the reason why they're not going ape shiz over the $2,000 a month is because there's plenty of people in New York, Los Angeles, Florida, populous places that are like, $2,000 would be great, but that's not going to solve my problems. If they were staring down the barrel of 5,700 that month, that would solve all their problems, their mortgage, their grocery bill, from a government that forced them to stay home and not be able to work. Well, then I think they would go ape shiz over it.
You want me to show you why?
Why I'm wrong, why I'm an idealist.
Just
I'm a right-wing SJW liberal.
You're a lib. You are such a lib, dude.
Oh, I'm a lib.
If only people would just see
I'm a lib.
that we're being oppressed by the establishment. If they would just rise up and take to the streets. Yes, you are. Anyway.
Okay.
Do you know why it's not going to happen?
Why?
Because you see this green line? Things doing okay. You can't see my cursor, but this green line.
I can see it.
Things doing okay for the green line in this bottom right graph, right?
Yeah.
Things are doing okay enough for this green line in the bottom right graph. They'll probably do a lot to keep things going good for them. Especially, for example, what is that analogy with, not analogy, but what's the old thing with the carrot and the stick, right?
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you need the stick, and sometimes the purple line's the stick, and maybe that's what will keep people from rising up. It's the fact that the highest earning 25%, which you might say, oh, it's like, dude, the 1% actually in real terms, a lot of people. There's entire suburbs and cities only with people that are in the 1% that basically live in them, right? It gets a lot of, we're talking about the top 25%,
half
right?
the suburbs of
and then
Virginia.
you want to talk about people that live off of the top 25%. I don't mean like leeching, but I mean like people that are like, maybe you wouldn't consider them the highest earning 25, but you know what I mean? Like they live okay, comfortably operating with them. Like people who live, that's a lot of people. And then, yeah, you factor in the fact that, hey, how about this? See that purple line? It was lower. Was worse. I mean, quite frankly, let me reframe this.
Yeah,
right?
the only thing
Let me reframe this a little bit. If you were to look at it from the purple line perspective, like...
It's more closely tied to the green line recently than in those other graphs. Like if you look at the 2000 or the 1990 recession.
What if you just look at it like this? You'd say, hey, it's recovering. It's shooting back up, right?
Yeah, we'll actually go back to when it was small. And there's a little bit of truth to what you say, because look at the 1990 recession. The lowest income earners actually did better than the highest income earners for a good period of time on that graph.
Oh, yeah,
if you're able to recenter
that would make
it,
more sense for how a recession recovery would be, you'd think.
Yeah, like that
You'd get everyone back
1990
to
recovery
work.
looked a little bit more like what most politicians talk about and what most idealists envision, you know, where there's actually a period of time where
there we go.
The highest earners were granted more stability, but
it'll take longer for the highest earners to recover than the lowest earners, right? Like
Yeah.
they might have to recover more. It's just you would just think, they might have big. But that's my point.
and the
dude,
2008 recession,
But
that's
Ricardo,
got Obama written all over it. The
you
rich
kept-
getting
you kept
richer and the
saying-
poor getting
but
poorer.
you kept
That's just
saying,
the graph of his entire presidency.
Why don't it's rich and poor getting poor? It's the Trump presidency, right? It's the thing. It's the thing, which is saying X was president, so it's their fault. It's like, well, if you want to play that game, no matter who you're blaming it on, we have a lot of people who can go through X was president, so it's their fault on. But no, you ask, why are they dividing people? Why this? Why? It's because, people aren't going to unite against the government or any of this stuff. They're going to more or less just deal with whatever they get.
Okay.
And we'll see. That's why, dude, I really wonder, again, just to kind of get back to the topic at hand, a teeny bit here. I do wonder if we'll see any clean results for the election in Georgia coming up tomorrow. If it'll take days, weeks. I know Warnock's like, I better win by big margins because, funny business goes on around here.
Yeah, so he's admitting to election fraud in Georgia.
Well, admitting to election. Stacey
Interesting.
Abrams said there was election fraud in Georgia a couple of years ago. I mean, like, Georgia and there being shenanigans with the votes is just like what happens now, and we might have to keep living through this 2020 election longer. I hope it doesn't happen, though.
So get your last super chats out of your system if you guys got any burning questions, because we're actually going to wrap it up here pretty soon. However, this is why I say the whole party is just a flaming pile of garbage, because I am very sensitive to hypocrisy, and the hypocrites in chief right now all have D's behind their name, except for Loeffler. She's not off the hook for selling off all that stock with Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah.
Loeffler,
She's
whatever.
literally the queen of Wall Street.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's kind of like,
Like, are you going to stand for that woman? You're going to, stand up for her?
Look, she's hot. Her and AOC, they're hot.
It's ridiculous. Whatever.
Oh, she's got that long, gorgeous blonde
aside.
hair. That bumps her up 20%.
That
Okay.
aside.
But hey, AOC is hot. Like I said, she's not crap in my
shoot,
book.
You had just brought
know?
something up, though. I wanted to ask you one last question on. Oh,
Okay,
my
what?
God. I can't remember now. Oh, it was going to be a good
What were you
one,
going to
too.
ask me? Was it a gotcha question?
No, it's not a gotcha. I don't ask you gotcha
What?
questions. No, it was going to be a
Those are always
God,
fun.
what were you just talking about a second ago?
I was talking about how the entire Democrat Party is a bag of flaming dumpster fire garbage right now.
What are you talking about? You know what?
Then we were talking about how in Georgia there's always funny business and how Raphael. Woo!
Oh, bless you.
That was a crazy one that came up on me out of nowhere.
I just honestly, dude, completely lost it. I'm trying to think. There was something though. It was going to be an interesting question. I thought it was going to be a nice way it ended up, but hey, I lost it. One of those things, right? I had it for a second there and I lost it because something along the lines of Kelly Loeffler being the queen of Wall Street. I forgot what exactly.
Well, we were talking about how she's not off the hook with me because she did that big, massive dump in stocks and sales, which
I think it was just before that.
At best was a bad optical decision, Kelly. At worst was just bad leadership decision. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Anyway, it's been real.
Yeah.
And it's been fun. Oh, dang it. Right as I started saying my end line, we got the last super chat. We're going to address it. You snuck it in there. You snuck it fast, flying with those fingers. Okay, Ray from nowhere.
I like this question. Read it, Card. It's interesting.
He says, world offshore betting markets have, quote, Team Blue winning both seats at plus 150, parentheses, small dog, end parentheses. I don't know what small dog means. But before Andrew Yang moved to Georgia, it was over 4-1. How much of that will be due to Andrew Yang and the Yang gang moving the needle? Ooh.
Yep. I'm probably going to get owned on this. Don't care. I believe the parentheses small dog referring to underdog, but like a small underdog, not like a huge underdog, right?
Oh, okay.
Not in Georgia, so I can't say the specifics. I would say Andrew Yang, being a high-profile person moving there, probably didn't hurt, but honestly, I would say the bigger thing that I think has been changing it, we're talking about this, like Lynn Wood, for example, he's gone like full mask-off psychopath mode on Twitter. Like
who has?
Lynn Wood,
okay.
Former Trump attorney. I mean, he's
gone cray-cray.
Dude, he is on one.
Isn't he in a big fight now with this Sandman character that he used to represent?
His former client.
His former clients.
He's fighting with his former clients. He's at that point.
Yeah.
My only point is I think there's just been such a big flame out from the like, and here's the thing, right? People in some parts of the country might be like, yeah, all this, like some of the stop the steal stuff's getting a bit ridiculous and they're kind of going overboard and saying crazy things. It's like happening in Georgia. Like what's his name? Oh my God, they're turning the frogs gay. That guy,
Alex Jones.
Yeah. Like he was driving his tank to Georgia like multiple times. Like didn't
wait, he's got a tank?
All of those people were down in Georgia screaming. Like all of this kind of like wildness has been kind of like a lot of it's been centered around Georgia. So I think in particular, it's kind of like it's almost like I always joke that this is kind of what happens in politics a lot. But are you familiar with the movie The Other Guys?
The Other Guys.
It's a comedy movie where I'm not going to explain the whole scene, but anyway, the joke is that they're going to do good cop, bad cop, right?
Okay.
But they end up just doing bad cop instead.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, have you seen his tank?
I've seen it, but sometimes it feels like that. It's almost like bad cop, and anyway, it's easy to look good in comparison, right? Like if you didn't want to vote for either, it's like, yeah, but like these people are kind of like going insane. Like, I think that might be just from where I see big thing. However, I do think the idea of there being a big movement, and I think Andrew Yang probably helped. Like, I think Andrew Yang probably had tangible impact. I just feel like there's been a lot of stuff moving in general about, like people aren't coming from out of state to harass Georgians about Loeffler and Warnock as much as people are coming from out of state to harass Georgians about like Trump and sorry, Ossoff. You get my point, though. There's people coming out of state to like harass Georgians that are Republicans pushing Republican things more often than Democrats, and I think that might be just kind of annoying people. Again, I'm not from Georgia.
Wow, dude, he's your boy. I know Alex Jones is your boy, and I got to tell you, with this tank, I can see why.
But
I can see why.
On the inverse, like I do think, though, Andrew Yang getting people out there to campaign probably helps. Like, you know. And then an election, like literally getting a dozen votes or so helps. So I think he's probably got more than dozens of votes. And I think it's cool people actually went out there. There's a Yang Gang house in Georgia. Do you know that?
Yeah. No, it's been there for like
a while.
Like 12 months or something, right?
I think there was before. But I mean, like there's a Yang Gang Senate runoff house in Georgia, specifically for Warnock and Ossoff.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess I kind of phrased
First
that
time
wrong.
in my life that I have not supported the Yang Gang in Georgia.
Yeah. I'm sure. But stuff like that obviously helps, dude. It's just I think the Republicans, some like people that are like pro-Trump in Georgia going wild, going crazy, probably not helping Republicans either. You know what I mean? So if you're moving the needle one way and they're moving it the other, it could be 4-1.
Okay, so I'm sending you a picture of your boy, Alex Jones. This is the last thing you can put up. I got to tell you, see, you remember how I said if Ted Cruz would just shave it and then go with the goatee, I'd be more of a Ted Cruz fan? To a certain extent, I've seen Photoshop pictures of if Donald Trump just grew out the chops and the goatee and shaved it. I'd go for it. Yeah, it's a picture of Alex Jones. He looks BA. That's not just fat, crazy. I got a glorified podcast on a website, Alex Jones with a tummy from 2016, 17, 18, 19. That's like I've been doing keto and intermittent fasting and shaved my head and now I'm a tough guy, Alex Jones. He's becoming my boy with that hairdo.
Oh, my God, dude.
Have they been able to see it?
You are one of the most shallow, fickle people.
The most shallow, fickle people. All right, we'll end it right there with
God.
Cody impugning my motives.
But hey, really quickly though, I do think it's interesting. I want to give a shout out to all the people who went to Georgia or are from Georgia that did follow Andrew's lead to campaign for all of them. I have said multiple times, and I do maintain that I think Andrew's heart's elsewhere. However, he's not a god, he's not a deity. And the fact that even though his heart maybe was a little bit elsewhere, he was able to motivate people to follow him and do it. It's kind of one of the cool things about people like Andrew Yang. So I do think it's awesome to think that all these months after he had dropped out of the election, he was still able to motivate people to get together and campaign. And also, it's the kind of things that make someone like an Andrew Yang valuable down the line politically, is the fact that he mobilizes people to just follow him and do things, which is good. You need that. But it is really cool. I haven't really thought too much about it, but that would be really cool for the Democrats to win for all the people. Because I will say one thing. It does feel like Republicans definitely didn't care that much about this. You think there's a bunch of Republicans flying from all across the country to campaign for Loeffler and Purdue?
No, there wasn't a lot for Loeffler or Purdue.
Yeah, are they motivating people? And honestly, I don't know. Maybe let me know if I'm wrong. I don't even know if.
Well, we have jobs. That's the problem with conservatives.
Yeah, it's always something.
It's
always some excuse.
No, actually, the lib in me is generally very disappointed with Republicans. They're awesome whiners. Republicans are awesome freaking whiners, but ask them to do something. Oh, I don't know. Ask them to donate. They're like, oh, shut up, dude. You make more money than God. Like, freaking donate. Oh, I'm trying to be fiscal. No, you're just a cheapskate bastard.
Ask them to do anything. Exactly.
Yeah,
no.
You're just a shit. Like, so, I mean, like, that's why you always say, oh, you're a partisan for the Republicans. No, I just recognize that it's better to be given a chance to fight in the Hunger Games arena in front of the Republicans that don't care whether you live or die, than to plain old be slaughtered outside of the arena and not be given a fighting chance. And I want a fighting chance.
Exactly. Like
that's it.
Hey, because there's nothing outside. There is no third choice. There is no option.
Yeah, we can't all just go live in the desert like Cody Como, staring into the distance, being happy that he can see 5 miles down his driveway to know if somebody's coming.
When did anyone say anything about any of this? No one said anything about any of this.
You've often said that you would retire into the middle of the desert somewhere.
I did, but that's what I'm talking about, dude. It's only what option C is. It's like option F.
Okay, what's option C?
Well, option C could be to not take place in their stupid rigged game.
Yeah, which means then they only beat you even
side
harder
in the stupid rigged game.
No, but then you're even more of a chump.
No, yeah, you're right. You're less of a chump when you shamelessly shill for these people and they screw you anyway. That's
how am I shamelessly shilling? I'm not shamelessly shilling.
Dude, I can get you to defend the most awful, reprehensible, stupid people. If it's like a hot button right wing issue, you'd be like, yeah, but hold on. You gotta, because you just feel like you have to. You know why? You watch Seinfeld, right?
Yeah.
Gotta support the team. Gotta support the team. Just gotta support the team.
That's funny.
Why do you paint your face up like a clown? Gotta support the team.
That's funny.
That's how I look at these people. Why are you acting like a buffoon right now? Gotta support the team. Why are you shamelessly defending these rich people who hate you right now to me? Gotta support the team.
That's funny. So my melanated scope says hashtag send Cody to the desert. That was pretty funny. That was hilarious.
I'll take it.
You would take that. That would not be a punishment. Anyway, this has been awesome, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We went a little bit over, but hey, as always, we had a lot of fun, and that's a good excuse to go over. But yeah, as we said, it's been real, and it's been fun. It's been real fun. It's problem solver politics.
Oh, and one last thing for anyone still listening at the very, very end. Keep your eye out some changes coming in the new year. It's just the calendar year for problem solver politics got pushed back a few weeks, so keep your eyes out.
All right. See you guys later. It's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun.